Very good morning, dear aspirants. Welcome to Learning Radius Current Affairs. Welcome to Learning Radius Current Affairs 2020. And this video will be discussing rest and topics of international relations. And today's topics are UN-Afghanistan, India and Myanmar discussion, India and Afghanistan discussion, Bhutan and Germany discussion, MQ-9B Sea Guardian unarmed drones, India and US and India, the period product free provision Scotland bill, China's first domestically made nuclear reactor, International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. So these are the 10 topics what we are going to discuss in this particular video. Have a look over the last video and try to have a complete grip in connection with international relations. In connection with UN-Afghanistan, the first topic, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate unconditional ceasefire in Afghanistan to create a conducive environment for Doha peace talks with the Taliban. Mr. Guterres' call came in a virtual address to a global donor conference in Geneva, with Afghanistan beset by violence between Taliban and government forces, rampant corruption, and an imminent withdrawal of US forces. So once again, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate unconditional ceasefire in Afghanistan to create a conducive environment for Doha peace talks with the Taliban. So you should have a clarity regarding Doha peace talk. At the same time, Afghanistan and related geography should be clear in your mind. Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani urged the international community to continue supporting Afghanistan even as he acknowledged that donors are likely to cut aid under the strain of COVID-19. Donor nation meet every 4 years to pledge aid to Afghanistan, which is almost entirely reliant on foreign assistance despite years of promised reforms and attempt to grow the economy. Now that is a condition in Afghanistan, but the 2020 donor conference could see less aid pledged as countries battle to recover from the devastating effect of COVID-19. Concerns are high that gains made in the past 20 years, especially in the areas of women's rights, could be lost as the Taliban unleash further violence. So that is the discussion going on in Afghanistan, and try to have a complete understanding regarding the geography of Afghanistan. At the same time, the discussion what is going on between Afghanistan and United Nations. Next one is India and Myanmar. The 7th Joint Trade Committee meeting between India and Myanmar was held through virtual mode on 24th November 2020. The meeting was co-chaired by Dr. Tan Mien, Union Minister for Minister of Commerce, Myanmar, and Sri Piyush Goyal, Commerce and Industry Minister of India. So that is the relationship between India and Myanmar, the 7th Joint Trade Committee. So the 7th Joint Trade Committee meeting between India and Myanmar was held through virtual mode on 24th November 2020. The meeting was co-chaired by Dr. Tan Mien, Union Minister for Minister of Commerce, Myanmar, and Sri Piyush Goyal from India, Commerce and Industry Minister of India. During the consultation, both sides reviewed bilateral issues ranging from trade, investment, banking, connectivity, capacity, building and upgradation of border infrastructure. Both sides reviewed their preparedness to meet the COVID-19 challenges and expanding cooperation in pharma and health sector, including traditional medicines. So both countries agreed that the current level of bilateral trade is not reflective of the actual potential and expressed commitment in strengthening their economic partnership by facilitating enhanced sectoral collaboration and trade promotion. So India and Myanmar discussion, and both countries agreed that the current level of bilateral trade is not reflective of the actual potential. So that is again a main point of view. Trade is not reflective of the actual potential and express commitment in strengthening the economic partnership by facilitating enhanced sectoral collaboration and trade promotion. They also reviewed the status of connectivity projects and scaling up the infrastructure at the border of strengthening trade. Both sides expressed appreciation at the finalization of the project agreement on the establishment of a modern integrated checkpost, that is ICP, modern integrated checkpost at Tamu Phase 1 under Indian granting aid that would enhance bilateral connectivity and trade, and agreed to work closely for early establishment of border hats for the benefit of the local communities and promote people-to-people connect. Now the next discussion is between India and Afghanistan. During the 2020 Afghanistan conference organized in Geneva through video conference, India announced the launch of Phase 4 of the High Impact Community Development Project in Afghanistan. So that is regarding the High Impact Community Project. So during the 2020 Afghanistan conference organized in Geneva through video conference, India announced the launch of Phase 4 of the High Impact Community Development Project in Afghanistan. It envisages more than 100 projects worth $80 million that India would undertake in Afghanistan. The two-day conference, 23rd November 2020 and 24 November 2020, and was co-hosted by the United Nations, the Government of Afghanistan, and the Government of Finland. So that is regarding the discussion. So once again, launch of Phase 4 of the High Impact Community Development Project in Afghanistan. India had just concluded with Afghanistan an agreement for the construction of the Shatut Dam, SHATOOT, that is Shatut Dam, which would provide safe drinking water to 2 million residents of Kabul city. India had earlier built the 202-kilometer fully Kumri transmission line that provided electricity to Kabul city. India's development portfolio in Afghanistan has to date amounted to over $3 billion US. So India as such is into construction of the Shatut Dam, which would provide safe drinking water to 2 million residents of Kabul city. India had earlier built the 202-kilometer fully Kumri transmission line that provide Kumri, that is full Kumri, Arabic word, transmission line that provided electricity to Kabul city. That is Kumri means it's bridge. India has invested heavily in peace and development in Afghanistan and believes that the gains of the last 2 decades must be preserved and the interest of minorities, women and vulnerable sections must be ensured. So that's the relationship between India and Afghanistan. Then Bhutan, Germany discussion. Bhutan announced that it had established diplomatic relationship with Germany, increasing the restricted number of capitals that Timbuktu has formal ties with to 53 states and the European Union. So Bhutan announced that it had established diplomatic relations with Germany, increasing the restricted number of capitals that Timbuktu has formal ties with to 53 states and the European Union. Since 1949, when Bhutan first signed a friendship agreement with India, which kept the two countries closely engaged on all foreign policy issues, Bhutan has been historically cautious about establishing ties with other countries. So that is a discussion. Bhutan has been historically cautious about establishing ties with other countries. Until 2007, when Bhutan conducted its first election, it had formal relations with just 22 countries, mostly donor countries such as Japan, Australia and several Nordic countries. It also made firm decision not to open ties with any of the permanent 5 members of the UN Security Council, despite many requests from them and in particular from US and China. So that is Bhutan's world relationship is about. Until 2007, when Bhutan conducted its first election, it had relation with just 22 countries, mostly donor countries such as Japan, Australia and several Nordic countries. It also made a firm decision not to open ties with any of the permanent 5 members of the United Nations Security Council, despite many requests from them and in particular from the United States of America and in China. After the election of the Prime Minister Jigme Thingley in 2008, however, the Bhutanese government rapidly increased its diplomatic forays, signing agreements with 31 countries in 5 years. Germany has also supported a partnership with the National Library of Bhutan to preserve its collection of traditional and ancient Bhutanese manuscripts since 2019. So that is a discussion about Bhutan and its international relation and bilateral relation. Now Germany and Bhutan relationship as it is in discussion, and India is having very good relationship with Bhutan. Next, MQ-9B Sea Guardian unarmed drones. The Indian Navy has inducted 2 MQ-9B Sea Guardian unarmed drones procured from the US on lease. So MQ-9B, that is in discussion. The recently released Defense Acquisition Procedure DAP 2020 has introduced an option for leasing military platforms. The drones are also on lease for 1 year. So that is Indian Navy has inducted 2 MQ-9B Sea Guardian unarmed drones procured from the United States of America on lease. The Guardian, which is the maritime variant of the Predator MQ-9 unarmed aerial vehicle UAV, has a maximum endurance of 40 hours and a maximum flying altitude of 40,000 feet. The Guardian, which is the maritime variant of the Predator MQ-9 unarmed aerial vehicle, has a maximum endurance of 40 hours and a maximum flying altitude of 40,000 feet. It has a 3,600 maritime surveillance radar and an optional multitude maritime surface search radar. At the 2+2 dialogue with United States, India had already signed the last foundational agreement, basic exchange and cooperation agreement for geospatial cooperation, that is BECA, which simplifies such high technology cooperation. So in connection with United States of America, now BECA is in discussion. BECA we discussed before in the videos and all, and BECA is nothing but basic exchange and cooperation agreement for geospatial concern. So at the 2+2 dialogue with United States, India had already signed the last foundational agreement, basic exchange and cooperation agreement for geospatial cooperation. Once again, basic exchange and cooperation agreement for geospatial cooperation, that is BECA, which simplifies such high technology cooperation. Now in newspaper you can see Navy induct 2 Sea Guardian drones on lease from United States, that is in Hindu, November 2020. Indian Navy has inducted 2 MQ-9B Sea Guardian unarmed drones procured from United States on lease, 2 defense sources said on Wednesday. There is a discussion came on that particular time. The drones are on lease for 1 year. All planning, execution and operations will be with the Indian Navy. The original equipment manufacturer OEM will play a support role for maintenance as laid down in the agreement. One defense source said the drones arrived in India mid-November. So the recently released Defense Acquisition Procedure DAP 2020 has introduced an option for leasing military platforms. So that's a discussion came in connection with United States of America and India related to MQ-9B. Understand what is MQ-9B and the details in connection with MQ-9B. At the same time, BECA as such is in discussion, and what is basic exchange and cooperation agreement for geospatial cooperation you should have clarity in that particular area. Next is India and United States of America. India and United States of America have extended the memorandum of understanding between the government of United States of America and the government of the Republic of India concerning cooperation with the Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership. So India and US has extended the memorandum of understanding between government of United States of America and the government of the Republic of India concerning cooperation with the Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership. India signed at New Delhi on November 7, 2010, that is GCNEP MOU. So GCNEP MOU is in discussion, is related to what UPSC can ask, or they can ask what is Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership. So India and United States of America as such is into Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership. Now we extended that one. So the discussion is India and United States have extended the MOU between government of US of America, that is government of the United States of America, and the government of Republic of India concerning cooperation with the Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership. Once again GCNEP, that is Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership. India signed at New Delhi on November 7, 2010 Memorandum of Understanding for Cooperation on Nuclear Energy for 10 years or 10 more years, that is extension. It also recognizing India's important commitment in 2010 to establish the GCNEP with a vision to promote safe, secure and sustainable nuclear energy for the service of mankind through global partnership. So it also recognized India's important commitment in 2010 to establish the GCNEP with a vision to promote safe, secure and sustainable nuclear energy for the service of mankind through global partnership. They have committed to promote cooperation on initiatives aimed at giving an impetus to nuclear safety and security, research and development in nuclear science and technology under various schools of GCNEP. They will deepen the dialogue on nuclear and other radioactive materials, or they will deepen the dialogue on nuclear and other radioactive material security by collaborating on advanced projects in the field with the goal of sharing the outcomes in the international arena. So that is about GCNEP. They have committed to promote cooperation on initiative aimed at giving an impetus to nuclear safety and security, research and development in nuclear science and technology under the various schools of GCNEP. So what is GCNEP? To promote cooperation on initiatives aimed at giving an impetus to nuclear safety and security, research and development in nuclear science and technology under various schools of GCNEP. They will deepen the dialogue on nuclear and other radioactive material security by collaborating on advanced projects in the field with the goal of sharing the outcomes in the international arena. Next discussion is again between US and India. US has asked India to not move forward on its proposal to mandate non-GM origin and GM free certificate for some agriculture import from January 1, 2021. So United States of America has asked India to not move forward on its proposal to mandate non-GM, that is genetically modified, origin and GM free certificates for some agriculture imports from January 1, 2021. It's very important from prelims point of view. At the same time, it is important from mains point of view. What is genetically modified origin? At the same time, what is GM free? So here the discussion is United States of America has asked India not to move forward on its proposal to mandate non-GM genetically modified origin and GM free certificate for some agriculture imports from 1st January 2021. It has given a fresh submission at the World Trade Organization asking India to reconsider the measure and delay implementation so that all member countries can submit their comments on the proposed requirement. Now, FSSAI order in August 2020, the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India published an order specifying that every consignment of 24 identified food products, which include pineapples, apples, apples, wheat, rice, tomato, potato, maize, melon, plum, papaya, potato, eggplant, bean, among others, need to be accompanied by a non-GM origin cum GM free certificate. Need to be accompanied by a non-GM origin cum GM certificate issued by the competent national authority of the exporting country. So in August 2020, the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India published an order specifying that every consignment of 24 identified food products need to be accompanied by a non-GM origin cum GM free certificate, which is issued by competent national authority of the exporting country to India. The order is to be effective from 1st January 2021. So that is the FSSAI order, and United States of America retaliated back to that particular order. US in its submission stated that India recently clarified that the order applies only to food crops or food crop import intended for human consumption and not to processed food products. A study carried out by research and advocacy body Center for Science and Environment in 2018 found that despite the FSSAI not allowing GM food in the country, several samples of edible oils, processed and packaged food, and infant food item produced locally and imported were found to contain GM ingredients, genetically modified ingredients, while 32% sample tested GM positive, a large bulk of it was imported. So that is a significant issue and it's a danger too. So GM ingredients should not be there, while 32% sample tested GM positive, that is another study. So FSSAI is taking that particular case very seriously. Washington argued that it is not aware of any risk assessment conducted by India, nor has India identified any specific food safety risk associated with the product listed in the order. India's measure may imply the genetically engineered foods are less safe than their conventional counterpart, it complains. So that is the side right from the United States of America. India had earlier assured the WTO that the measures would come into effect only after all concerns voiced by WTO member countries are examined. So that is the explanation right from the side of India. The National Academy of Science and the WHO, among others, the International Scientific and Regulatory Committee has reached consensus that GE products available on the international market are as safe as their conventional counterparts. So that's the discussion related to. Next is the Period Products Free Provision Scotland Bill. The Scottish Parliament unanimously approved the Period Products Free Provision Scotland Bill on 24th November 2020, making it mandatory for government to ensure the free provision of period essentials to the ones in need. So that is One of its central objective is to end the silence and stigma that surrounds menstruation and also aims to remove gender barriers. The bill aimed to ensure that those who menstruate have reasonably convenient access to period products free of charge. So, the Scottish Parliament unanimously approved the Period Products Free Provision Scotland Bill on 24th November 2020, making it mandatory for the government to ensure the free provision of period essentials to the ones in need. That was the discussion. Next is China's first domestically made nuclear reactor. China has powered up its first domestically developed nuclear reactor, the Hulang-1, a significant step in Beijing's attempt to become less dependent on Western allies for energy security and critical technology. So China's first domestically made nuclear reactor. China has made up its first domestically developed nuclear reactor, the Hulang-1, a significant step in Beijing's attempt to become less dependent on Western allies for energy security and critical technology. According to China National Nuclear Corporation, that is CNNC, the reactor which was connected to the national grid can generate 10 billion kilowatt hours of electricity each year and cut carbon emission by 8.16 million tons. So China has powered up its first domestically developed nuclear reactor, that is Hulang-1. UPSC can ask Hulang-1 is in news, or check the statements related to Hulang-1, like that they can ask. So it's a significant step in Beijing's attempt to become less dependent on Western allies for energy security and critical technology. According to China National Nuclear Corporation, the reactor which was connected to the national grid can generate 10 billion kilowatt hours of electricity each year and cut carbon emission by 8.16 million tons. Work on the Hulang-1 reactor started in 2015, and there are currently 6 other reactors under construction at home and abroad, state-owned plant operator CNNC said. The Hulang-1, deployed at a plant in East China's Fujian province, will be put into commercial use by the end of the year after undergoing tests. China has 47 nuclear plants with a total generation capacity of 48.75 million kilowatt, the world's third highest after United States and France. 13 nuclear plants are under construction, more than in any other country. So this is what the discussion related to China. And the final discussion is International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. In 1977, the General Assembly called for the annual observance of 29 November as the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. This year, 2020, the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people will be observed on 1st December. So, in 1977, the General Assembly called for the annual observance of 29 November as the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people. This year, 2020, the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people will be observed on 1st December. The date of 29 November was chosen because of its meaning and significance of Palestinian people. On that day in 1947, the General Assembly adopted Resolution 181 Clause 2. So, Resolution 181 Clause 2 is in discussion, and have a look over the analysis video. Understanding video is very important in connection with international relation. At the same time, the analysis of 2020, in that I have conveyed how UPSC is framing the new questions, especially in 2020 and 2021. If you look into the questions, you can see they are asking direct question, but it is not absolutely from the current. It is related to current. So, here as like that, on that day in 1947, the General Assembly adopted Resolution 181 Clause 2. This Resolution 181 Clause 2 and all topics in that particular manner. Now, Resolution 181 Clause 2, which came to be known as the Partition Resolution, that resolution provided for the establishment in Palestine of a Jewish state and an Arab state, with Jerusalem as a corpus separatum under a special international regime of the two states to be created. Under this resolution, only one Israel has so far come into being. So the date 29 as it is changed to 1st December, and what is the relevance of 29 November as it I conveyed. 1st December 2005, the Assembly requested the Committee on the Exercise of the Inalienable Right of the Palestinian People and the Division of Palestinian Right as a part of the observance of the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian People on 29 November to continue to organize an annual exhibit on the Palestinian right or a cultural event in cooperation with the Permanent Observer Mission of Palestine to the UN. Now, the discussion is this year 2020, the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people will be observed on 1st December. It was on 29th November, and the relevance of 29th November I explained in detail, and you should have clarity regarding Palestine and Israel in connection with the geography, in connection with the map. At the same time, the history of the relationship between Palestine and Israel from claims and means perspective. So that's all from international relations in this particular video. In the next video, we'll be discussing the rest 10 topics and work out the premium preliminary question papers. It is very crucial to have an absolute edge in your overall preparation. So that's all for now. Have a peaceful study, have a productive learning, and calm version is the most productive version. Keep the calmness and keep going. You can. Have a great time. Thank you.